Alex Phillips highlights a perceived double standard where the grievances of working-class England are treated with suspicion, while other societal groups receive empathy and institutional support. She argues that while many communities are encouraged to share their lived experiences, with their struggles often being contextualised through the lenses of trauma or systemic failure, the white working class is frequently told that their hardships are their own fault. According to Phillips, these individuals feel like outsiders in their own towns and are expected to applaud rapid societal changes that offer them no tangible benefits. When they eventually voice their frustration or ask for representation, their concerns are pathologised as bigotry rather than being recognised as a legitimate cry for help.
We respected the backbone of our society. Our brave men went to the trenches. They mended stuff and made stuff. They joined the army. They worked in mines. They manned production lines. They drove lorries. They didn't make much money, but they made enough. And they'd be the first to turn out to carry your bag, offer a pint, defend the nation. They knew your name. They helped you with stuff around the house, and they laughed the loudest, and they made the sort of jokes that were so close to the bone, our sides split. But we gave their jobs away. We cut the army. We never replaced heavy industry. And where there were still jobs, we gave them to other men from other countries because they cost less. So instead, we gave our men benefits. We took their dignity and their ability to provide for their families and replaced it with a handout. We robbed them of all opportunity and also robbed opportunity from their kids too. Their kids who now have kids of their own. We told them they can't make their jokes anymore, not even for light relief. We told them that everything they were once loved for, and indeed that they loved, was now considered thick, racist, and out of touch. Wake up, we yelled. Get with the programme. Get woke, you Neanderthal. You've had it your way for far too long and you messed it up. It's only right that you are now punished. Your relatives enslaved us. You're a patriarchal beast. You fragile, overprivileged moron. When they now turn on the television, they don't see people like them. The songs they once sang are now cancelled. Nobody like them writes songs anymore. Well, nobody that would get a recording contract. We called them lazy after they had to make a humiliatingly necessary calculation that to provide for their family, maybe even give their loved ones a holiday from their shithole neighbourhood, it was better to not work and claim benefits instead. When they tried to tell us how much they were hurting, how they felt overlooked, using the only words that they had, we called them racist. They didn't get the latest memo from the overpaid London PR consultant about what language was acceptable and which viewpoint was allowed to be held, how to work the ever-changing system to fit in. Of course, they're slow learners, and they also don't have protected status. They're monsters. So they tried at the ballot box to change things. 3 times they voted Conservative because they promised to cut immigration.
Alex Phillips's recent address has resonated deeply because it challenges the prevailing narrative of inherent privilege, reframing the experience of Britain's traditional working class as one of systemic loss rather than advantage. She highlights the plight of the men who once served as the nation's industrial and moral backbone, miners, soldiers and factory workers, whose sense of dignity was rooted in their ability to build, defend and provide. This social contract was effectively severed as industries were dismantled, the military was downsized and domestic labour was bypassed in favour of cheaper alternatives. Instead of being supported through these transitions, these communities were relegated to a welfare system that provided financial survival at the cost of identity, replacing generational pride with a cycle of dependence and public mockery. The speech further contends that the psychological destruction of these communities was compounded by a cultural elite that rebranded traditional working class values as obsolete or offensive. When these individuals attempted to voice their concerns, they were frequently met with condescension. their views dismissed as backward or racist by those who controlled the media and political discourse. This sense of total exclusion drove them toward the ballot box, fueling the rise of Brexit and the Conservative shift not out of malice, but as a desperate attempt to be heard after decades of being silenced. Despite this, their political choices were met with further vilification, solidifying the feeling that the establishment would rather pathologise their existence than address the genuine abandonment they have suffered.
They tried at the ballot box to change things. 3 times they voted Conservative because they promised to cut immigration. They backed Brexit because that would put them first for a change. They saw that those in charge who hadn't been listening for decades were finally made to listen. And oh, did they listen. They then did everything in their power to bully and to shame, to silence the voices of those men, to frame them as a threat, to intimidate them and censor them. And so day after day, night after night, they watched their towns change irreparably. They watched people from other countries being given houses and doctor's appointments, so surely it must be their turn next. Surely. These other people were showered with the loving glow of just being wanted. Yes, wanted. But also actively cheered for. Refugees welcome. Black Lives Matter. Who are these people? They didn't get a chance to get to know them because those people didn't learn English. They couldn't find them at the pub, but it must be their fault because they didn't welcome them enough. They didn't understand them enough. That's right, it's because they must be racist. They then saw members of those communities complain still and witnessed superhuman efforts made by people in power to listen to them. And yet, some of them still riot when they don't get their own way. Some of them commit crimes, but when they do, it's not their fault. They just need to be better understood. Those people have been through things that none of us can relate to. They're disenfranchised. They have mental health issues. And it's probably your fault, you lazy, white racist. That, dear friends, that is the story of working class England. And I hope you enjoyed it. You know, some might call it a lived experience, but for those in it, it's an experience barely worth living.
Alex Phillips highlights a perceived double standard where the grievances of working class England are treated with suspicion, while other societal groups receive empathy and institutional support. She argues that while many communities are encouraged to share their lived experiences, with their struggles often being contextualised through the lenses of trauma or systemic failure, the white working class is frequently told that their hardships are their own fault. According to Phillips, these individuals feel like outsiders in their own towns and are expected to applaud rapid societal changes that offer them no tangible benefits. When they eventually voice their frustration or ask for representation, their concerns are pathologised as bigotry rather than being recognised as a legitimate cry for help.
Off. They're in the world, oh, you're a monster, you're a Nazi, you're a racist, you're a xenophobe. Be kind. Fuck off, be kind. I didn't live 41 years of my life working hard, dragging myself up from a working class family to get where I am, to pay this tax. And my thanks is to be name called, have my car bashed in, groped, mugged, outpriced from the housing market. Fuck off. That's how I feel. That's how a lot of people out there are feeling.
The enduring impact of this speech lies in its refusal to offer a comfortable narrative, choosing instead to address the inconvenient reality of a population that feels culturally and politically erased. Phillips suggests that when people look at the media or the state, they no longer see their own values or identities reflected back at them, leading to a profound sense of alienation. The core message is a warning: a nation that systematically ignores the suffering of a significant portion of its citizenry risks losing their loyalty entirely. While many in the establishment are eager to suppress this perspective, the speech has gone viral precisely because it provides a voice to those who have felt invisible for decades.